Hey friends, hey, it's your favorite host, LaDonna PM here. Listen, I know you're busy enjoying my podcast, The Owner's Manual, but have you ever wanted to have your own podcast? You heard me right. You can do this too. Just like I mentioned in episode 2 of The Owner's Manual, shameless plug, the world needs your voice of inspiration and genius. You can have your very own podcast using Anchor, and it's so easy. You don't need any special equipment. Although that's nice, you can do it right from your sofa and your cell phone. No joke. It costs $0. Yep, you heard me right. It's free 99. And all the tools that you need to customize your podcast are at your fingertips. Anchor even distributes your podcast for you, so you can be heard on multiple platforms like Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, and so much more. And you can easily monetize your podcast. So all you have to do is download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor FM to get started. That's ANCHOR.FM. Hey, I can't wait to listen in. Thank you for joining me for another episode on the Owner's Manual podcast. I am your host, LaDonna PM, aka Miss Purpose Pusher, and the OWN podcast is the #1 destination for us busybodies who want positive perspectives and inspiration to create moments of purposeful pause in our lives. Previously on the Owner's Manual podcast. Welcome to all the fans of the Owner's Manual podcast. I'm so glad you are here. So I'm just going to give you a little recap of what you may have missed on last week's episode of the Owner's Manual. So we talked about how to use mindfulness techniques to pivot over panic. And I shared an embarrassing story, a marketing snafu that I made that could have potentially caused me a lot of trouble, not just legally, but just emotionally as well. Had I not fixed it, or had I not pivoted instead of a complete all-out panic. And so I was sharing with you all last week about how pivoting puts us in a position of strength. It helps us shift our priorities. It helps us to become more aligned with the cohesiveness of our inner mission, and helps us figure out what our value is. What is our value add? And so that's what we covered last week. If you missed it, please go back and listen to that and pick up those tips to help you pivot over panic. So this week, we're going to shift a little bit. We are talking about pruning so that our flowers can bloom. It's May, it's springtime, and that's the perfect topic for maybe the season that we're going through all collectively. So stay tuned. After the break, we'll dive right into it. Hey friends, if you've been enjoying the Owner's Manual podcast, let's stay connected. You can find me on Facebook at LaDonna PM, on Instagram at LaDonna.PM, or on our YouTube channel, LaDonna PM. My mission is to inspire, teach, and create, and I'm sure you'll find all of that and more on our social media platforms. Let's stay connected. So here we are in one of my favorite segments of the Owner's Manual podcast, and that is the soul coaching card of the day. You already know that I consider myself to be your soul coach, right? So it should come as no surprise, as I love to share messages of hope, inspiration, and encouragement. And that's what this time together during our weekly podcast moments are for. This card of the day is brought to you by the Soul Coaching Oracle Guidebook. The author is Denise Lynn, and This card will share a message of encouragement that will help you powerfully and immediately discern the truth of what your soul wants you to know. So today's soul coaching card of the day is healing. What a perfect card for the energy of the world today. And it says, phenomenal healing energy flows through every cell in my body. The card simply means healing is occurring. You're a natural healer. You're on the mend or a situation is being resolved. Have faith that it's happening. Your soul wants you to know that healing is natural. Everything in nature has the intrinsic ability to restore itself. You're a part of the world, so you also have this innate ability. Often, healing needs to occur on the inner planes before it can manifest on the outside. To assist this process, focus on what's great and let go of what isn't working or what's wrong. Hold a vision of the solution that you desire. Be patient and trust that recovery is occurring in its own time and way. Nature is one of our greatest healers, so spend time with the trees, soak up the rays of the sun, and dance in the rain. Wow, that is the perfect segue for what we're going to be getting into today in episode number 12 of the Owner's Manual podcast. Stay tuned. Are you desiring a little bit more gratitude in your life? If you've been following along with my podcast, you'll know that one of the ways that I do this is by journaling. I've created a new journal just for you, available on Amazon. It's called My Love, Peace, and Joy Gratitude Journal. I believe that small seeds of gratitude produce a harvest of hope. So if you're desiring to create more spaces of gratitude in your life, allow this journal to help you achieve that goal. You can find my journal at this shortcut link, bit.ly/LPM books. That's all lowercase. Again, that's bit.ly/LPM books. I hope you enjoy it. Hello and welcome to the Owner's Manual podcast. I am your delightful host. I'm so thankful to be here delivering this podcast message to you today. I am LaDonna PM, and today we're going to be talking about pruning your garden. So I was inspired to talk about this based on a post that I had made on my Instagram yesterday and a blog post that I shared with my audience about why it's important to move on. And so on that post, there was a graphic that says, move on, move smarter, and just generally talking about the purpose of knowing when to move forward and not stay stuck, right? You can tell when it's time to move. There are certain energetic shifts that start to happen, like, and I'm putting air quotes around this, all of a sudden you're uncomfortable with where you are, or all of a sudden that space that you felt fine in just previously is now irritating the heck out of you. Like every little thing is starting to annoy you. And so different things just start to happen, that will agitate your spirit. And so the blog was just talking about how you feel stuck sometimes, and especially when you know you need to move. And so I was just talking about how you already have the tools that you need to move through that. So if you want to check out that blog, you can find it on my website, ladonnapm.com. Or if you're following me on social media, you can find those blog post links there as well. But really, it was just talking about how, that energy of knowing, that energy of how things shift when it's time for you to move forward. And intuitively, let's just be honest, when it's time to move forward. There's all kinds of signs and signs and wonders that occur when it's time for you to shift into your next dispensation of where you're supposed to be. And it got me thinking about this process really in detail this morning when I got up and I was enjoying the sunshine. I grabbed one of my favorite mugs that says, "Do more of what your soul loves." And I started looking at my flowers like I normally do, watering them, tending to them. And I noticed on some of the plants there were some leaves that needed to be pruned back. And instantly, this song popped in my head from one of my playlists. There's this group called Black Party, and the song is called Bloom. And it's like, "I hope your flowers bloom. I 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 hope you grow up to be everything that you want to. I hope your flowers bloom. I hope your flowers bloom." And that song has just been on a repeated loop in my mind as I was pruning and cutting back some of the leaves of the flowers that seem to be like having brown ends or, dead areas that needed to be cut back. And it just got me to thinking, that's it. That's what that process looks like that I explored in the blog, us intuitively knowing when it's time to move forward, when it's time to cut things off, when it's time to go forward into something new, when it's time that our soul is just pushing us to do more of what makes our soul happy. When there's messages all around you, when there's support and encouragement all around you, pushing you in the direction that your soul is calling you to, you can't ignore it. And that's typically what happens when it's time to do some of what I like to call inner pruning. So when we prune, we're cutting away like the dead, lifeless things, right? We're cutting away things that no longer serves the body. And you know what I found out? That it's not always when something is wrong or when something is totally lifeless, because even fruitful branches need pruning. So pruning, what does it do? It's necessary to help with your growth, and it's necessary to prune to increase the opportunity for something to bear fruit. Man, that is a purposeful pause moment in itself. Pruning is necessary to help with your growth, and it's necessary to create opportunities for you to bear fruit and increase your fruit. And you can't do that without the proper pruning that takes place on the inside, because if you really think about it, fruit equals abundance. And who wouldn't want more abundance in their life? I don't know about you, but every day that I get up, I am graciously and wondrously exploring areas of where I can improve and draw in more of that great gratitude and that abundant energy, not just within me, but in the words that I speak, in the things that I do, and the actions that I take, in my daily walk. It's all about bearing fruit. And that's another way that you can tell, one of the inner homework or own work, as we like to say on the Owner's Manual podcast, is one of the ways that you can tell is like when I explored when the topic of moving on earlier, you get these intuitive shifts that occur. And really, that's just nothing more than energy, like all things are, right? Pruning, proper pruning is really all about energy. And really, when I do this, it helps me keep my eyes on my unique soul's purpose. It helps me channel this energy to those inner branches within me that have the best opportunity to bear the fruit that God designed for me to produce. Since we're all so uniquely and wonderfully made, as we know, we're all purposefully made. What areas in your life do you need to prune in order to bear more fruit? I know for me personally, I've had a recent experience of moving into a new office space, and you've heard me talk about this probably before in prior podcasts, but it was so hard for me to actually let go of that old familiar comfort of the old space, even though the signs were all around me. even though I knew back in January when I started looking for new buildings and exploring what is out there for me, I started taking steps to go look and meet with realtors and check out new building spaces and explore the opportunity. But I was still so comfortable in where I was. And it wasn't until this pandemic that forced me to close my office for a month that I was able to sit down and really think about the monumental occasion it was, not just spiritually, physically, and mentally, but to strip away everything. Everything. I was no longer distracted by my to-do list. I was no longer distracted by clients, appointments and things like that. It was just me and my inner self calling for what needed to be pruned on the inside of me so that I can move forward with clarity. And the answer was so clear. It was time for me to move forward. And I'm going to tell you, it was something that I didn't want to do, much like I would imagine a gardener tending to beautiful rose bushes that are flourishing and thriving, and looking at the fruits of your labor and the fruits of your work and thinking to yourself, I don't want to cut this back. But the only way for that rose bush to completely thrive and flourish is to prune it. Pruning is so necessary, like I said, to help with growth and increase your fruit. And without it, you're just overgrown. Can you imagine what that looks like? Just heavy with unnecessary things that can tend to weigh you down and have you off kilter and not aligned with your purpose. And so that's why I really feel like this is so important, to give your inner flowers an opportunity and space to bloom. Just like that song said that I sang earlier, it's just, I hope your flowers bloom. I hope you grow up to be everything that you want to. And I really mean that, because it's really about pruning the parts of you that no longer serve you so that you can be the greatest version of yourself possible, to walk in purpose unencumbered by anything that isn't supposed to go with you on your journey of now. And so as the days go on, I want you to think about what areas of your life needs to be pruned so that your flowers can bloom. And I personally am looking forward to this new opportunity that I have to bloom in a new space with new energy and new creativity that I know will come from it. And I know that as I become the gardener of my own soul, I will always follow my intuition, and even if it's painstakingly, to understand areas and trust that every step that I take is just for my blooming. It's just for my abundance. It's just for my good. And I hope that you do the same. So I hope this message today has been super insightful, and it gave you some food for thought about where you need to prune and where you need to clip some of the things that are no longer serving you, and where you need to release the weight of anything that isn't helping to bring about fruit and abundance. As always, I hope that you have peace, plenty blessings, and that you continue to live purposefully. Thank you so much. So I wanted to extend an invitation of something that was placed on my heart to do in honor of my latest book, Pursuing Purpose, a 21-day devotional to triumph. Now, in this book, as I mentioned earlier, I'll walk you through how to pursue your purpose, what it means to walk boldly in your purpose, and how to triumph in your purpose. And I would be honored if you would join me for a 21-day deeper dive where you get me personally as we walk through the days with introspective activities and some intuitive assignments that will help us hone in on exactly how that purpose is to be fulfilled in our lives. So all you would need to do to join me on this exclusive invitation is go to bit.ly/Triumph Tribe. And it's spelled TriumpTribe. So that's bit.ly/Triumph Tribe, all lowercase. And to submit a quick application to join me in my private group where I personally walk you through all 21 days of this beautiful devotional journey. I'd love to have you there. And also, while you're at it, why don't you send that link to a couple of your friends who you know may want to walk this journey with us. I look forward to having you there. I'm so excited about this opportunity for us to bloom together. See you there.